Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I'm Sunny Pancholi, anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings acquired by these industry leaders. We also hope that by conducting these FaceTime with Leaders interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. By bringing together such visionaries on one platform, we hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone by identifying, nurturing, and using the trade secrets that are proven success formulas for many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge-sharing community. We have one such industry giant on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Mr. Satish Sahasrabudhe. He is a highly skilled transportation expert with a distinguished career spanning over 3.5 decades in the government sector. With expertise in policymaking, enforcement, and revenue collection, he has played a pivotal role in shaping the transportation landscape in Maharashtra. Among his notable achievements are that he has led committees, drafted legislations, and implemented initiatives to promote road safety and reduce pollution, resulting in safer driving environments and improved air quality. In his latest role, he is employed as a senior safety advisor with the Government of Maharashtra, wherein he is responsible for the implementation of the road safety policy throughout the state of Maharashtra. Welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, Mr. Satish.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pancholi. And I'm really glad that you gave us this opportunity. So good morning to everybody who's watching the show.
Pleasure is ours, sir.
Yeah.
So to begin with, Mr. Satish, could you let our viewers know in brief about your career journey so far?
Oh, certainly. As you said in the introduction itself, I've spent almost more than 3 decades, to be very precise, almost 36 years in the transport department of state government of Maharashtra. The journey started. The journey started as far back as the year 1981. I am a graduate in physics of Bombay University. After my graduation, I did a 1-year full-time diploma in business management from the Sydenham College, Churchgate. Post that, in the year 1983, I had started appearing for competitive examinations as a normal person of that particular age does. And I got selected through the Maharashtra Public Service Commission as the district transport officer. So I joined the transport department in February 1984, to be very precise. Well, since February 1984 onwards, my journey has been within the department as Deputy Regional Transport Officer, Regional Transport Officer. Regional Transport Officer happens to be a regional level post, wherein you control at least about 3 to 4 district offices of your own department. Later on in the Transport Commissioner's office as Deputy Commissioner of Transport, going onwards to Joint Commissioner of Transport, and finally culminating in my last promotion as Additional Commissioner of Transport in the year 2013. Additional Transport Commissioner happens to be the senior most position in the Transport Department. It is next only to the Transport Commissioner. And in that capacity, the Additional Transport Commissioner's role is basically to lay down policies, ensure their proper implementation through almost 45 sub-offices, that is the regional transport offices and the district transport offices within the state government. That number of offices have now increased to almost 50. 45 is up until when I was in the department. Um, Actually, as one can see that it's not easy job to coordinate the department's policies amongst the 45 different sub-offices. It's a big effort in that case. Um, the post of Additional Transport Commissioner also acts as a bridge between the department and the state government of Maharashtra. The Transport Commissioner and the Additional Commissioner actually are the two, I can say, two backbones. I mean, there are not two backbones, but then actually these are the two backbones on which the department really functions. I can say that at each level of my promotion, starting from my first promotion was as Deputy RTO until the last promotion as Additional Commissioner, I have been the youngest officer. That's a matter of record. So that's okay to say that at all levels of my promotion. During this entire journey of almost 36 years, I have been exposed to working with state bureaucracy at senior level, as well as the political side of the state government. It was a kind of mix of both the sides of government, which gave me a good exposure in working with the department, presenting views of the department before the government, ensuring that the policies are implemented correctly through all the sub-offices in the department. Slightly speaking about myself, during this tenure of 36 odd years, I was instrumental in making provisions, making legal provisions for the levy of one-time tax on two-wheelers and motor cars to start with. And later on, this was also extended to cover the transport vehicles like trucks and buses. This particular measure was a game changer, as it did save a lot of efforts that the department was putting in at that time. If you recollect, the taxes used to be on a yearly basis. So the entire infrastructure of the state government of my department was being put to these issues, check who are in the area, send notices, follow up with them. Now, as against that, with the introduction of one-time tax, the tax is recovered ab initio on the date of registration. So that has saved the department and also the vehicle owners all the trouble that one faces. Savings in the stationery is another issue. That's a passing benefit. I was also instrumental in merger of two taxes. Like at that point of time, there used to be a tax on contract carriage buses called as passenger tax. And there was also a motor vehicle tax on the buses. So two taxes on the same kind of transport. So I was instrumental in merging both the taxes into one single tax. We did away with the passenger tax on contract carriages. That was, again, one good measure that the department took at that point of time. Then it came to the levy of environment tax on older vehicles. Again, the legislation was as a result of my effort, though in government, one really cannot take any credit for that. No, I am not going to take credit for that. But I was instrumental. I played a big role in that. One important aspect in my entire career was taking measures to reduce and control pollution from automobiles. This was one area which later on became very relevant. I was instrumental in that area. I'll speak about it later on. My duties were primarily restricted to ensuring effective implementation of Motor Vehicles Act, the related acts and the rules throughout the sub-offices, regulation of transport vehicles through the system of permits. There is a regime of permits, and which takes care of some imbalances which may exist in the transport vehicles category. Then another important function was revenue collection. I'm really glad to say that the transport department happens to be the third or fourth. Now it has gone to fourth, I suppose. It was third or fourth, the most revenue earning department of the Government of Maharashtra. When I retired in the year 2020, my department target, and we did achieve the target, was something like 6,500 to 7,000 crores. So that was the amount that the department collected. Post-retirement, as you said earlier, I was again appointed as senior advisor looking after the issue of road safety by the state government. I worked in the office of the Transport Commissioner for almost 1 year. Well, during this entire, if I look back at my 36 years career, I can say that I have always led my team from the front. At the same time, giving a push from the back and also being with the team as and when the need actually arose. I did enjoy working with my team throughout my career. I think that was all about my career of 36 years. Yeah.
Mr. Satish, thank you so much for the excellent start to this interview. Moving ahead, my next is, as someone working with the state government, do you find major differences between the government and corporate sector, namely in work cultures and approaches, etc.? And could you list some and let us know how do you deal with them?
Okay. Again, I'll be very honest, very frank in saying that I really do not have experience of working in the private sector up until now. I've always been a part of the government. However, I can always say that as government, the government works for the people and the society at large. And as against government, the private sector, the private enterprises work within their limited sphere. The aim of the government is always towards betterment of the society, and the aim of the private sector, along with to some extent betterment of society, is revenue collection. I mean, the profit for the organization, which is bound to be the case. However, taking into consideration my background, I do not think it will be very difficult to make a switch from government to private sector now. It seems a difficult task, but it may not be that difficult because I always have had opportunity to interact with the senior levels of management in the transport sector, the actual decision makers in the transport sector, be it in the government, be it in the automobile industry as such, by which I'm referring to automobile manufacturers. They have a society called as Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers, quite a responsible body of manufacturers. And additionally, even the non-governmental organizations, like if I have to name some organization, it will be Center for Science and Environment at New Delhi. I mean, the point that I'm trying to make is that I have had a good exposure of working even with the private sector. And so I would not really find it difficult to make a switch at this time. One more thing is, which I would like to point out is that the government always works with the taxpayers' money. It actually, into inverted comma, plays with the taxpayers' money. So the accountability of government towards the society is too much on the larger side than perhaps a private enterprise. Because a private enterprise, again into inverted comma, plays with their own profits and their own other resources. So these are the two different perspectives in which the government and the private sector works. My exposure with the private sector also tells me that private sector has some technological and even human resource advantages over the government working, in the sense that since they are free to take decisions at their level, they can adopt the absolutely recent, current, improved technologies as and when they wish to. And that also, they also take care of the best brains working for them. Something which really doesn't happen that frequently or in that way with the government. So these are the basic differences between private sector and the government. However, having said that, since I have been interacting with private sector, what I find is that the basic human tendencies, be it the government, be it the private sector, are the same. I mean, you just have to team up properly, present your views properly, and well, play your role properly. And I'm confident that this switch can be made.
So moving ahead, Mr. Satish, has there been a major accomplishment you have made or wish to make that you would like to share with our viewers today?
Actually, it's a good point. And good in the sense, I'm always petrified by the thought of speaking about personal accomplishments. Can perhaps appreciate that there is a very thin dividing line between stating something which is factual and crossing that line and going to the area of bragging about yourself. It's a very thin dividing line. So I'll try to restrict myself to the achievements part of it, not crossing the boundary. Sure, there have been major accomplishments. Since I was recruited and appointed in the year 1984, and within my first 7 years of career, I got opportunity to undergo a course in strategic management in transport at the Polytechnic of North London, UK. This was in the year 1991. So it was within initial 7 years of my career. Subsequently, as I got promoted to various levels in the organization, I got another opportunity with the United States Department of State, wherein they invited me to participate in their prestigious International Visitor Program, wherein it was a team of 7 persons from Maharashtra, from India and Nepal. And they took us to various sites. The main project related to environment protection and urban planning. This was in the year 2000, as I said. I was also working on the environmental issues while being in the department. And I got an excellent opportunity to present a case study of what we were doing in Maharashtra before the Asian Development Bank, Manila, Philippines. That was in the year 2002. Subsequently, I also had the privilege of receiving the Fulbright scholarship in the year 2004. I received the scholarship in the field of environmental leadership program. Well, all these milestones, I can say, were certainly helping me directly or indirectly in shaping my thoughts clearly as to what I would like to be doing in my career. There was a committee appointed by the High Court, Bombay, to deal with the problem of auto pollution. At that point of time, and even now, it's called as the Lal Committee, and I was instrumental in preparing the report of the said committee. Subsequently, even the Bombay High Court appointed another committee, wherein I was a member in that. In the first committee, I was not a member. I only assisted the Lal Committee. But in the second committee, subsequent committee, I was a member. The mandate being to ensure proper implementation of High Court directions to take care of the pollution problem. The last, perhaps, but not the least, I would say one of the last things. Post my retirement in 2020, the Maharashtra Pollution Control Board, MPCB, also appointed a committee under my chairmanship to address the same problem of automobile pollution. However, the area now extended from Mumbai to the entire MMR region. So it was from Mumbai to MMR region. And since my special interest was in pollution, I was getting opportunities to work in that field, in that sector, one after the other. And I enjoyed having those opportunities. The NGO that I referred to earlier, the Center for Science and Environment, and within that is in New Delhi, and in Mumbai, there is another quite responsible NGO called as going by the name of Bombay Environmental Action Group, and now it's renamed as Conservation Action Trust. I'm not on the names part of it, but these are the two responsible NGOs which acted as pressure group as far as the pollution issues were concerned, and I really enjoyed even working with them. Many times one feels that why are we dealing with NGOs being in the government? But I always looked upon these, working with them, as good opportunities. If there is something that we can improve by taking their help, nobody's bad. Nobody's critical of you unnecessarily. There are issues that you can take. There are issues that they can take from you. And I always like this exchange of ideas with the NGOs. One more opportunity which I got was that I was appointed as coordinator by the state government for selection of vice chancellor of the Ramananda Tirth University at Nanded. This was something which is going beyond my career altogether. I mean, transport is one thing, and playing a coordinating role for the selection of vice chancellor is another thing. It was a good experience because these selection committees are under the high court judges and various luminaries, experts in their field. So it was quite a good experience. One area that I wish to make contribution to is one area which I do feel that something more could have been done. And I'm being honest, I'm being truthful about this. The area of reduction in motor vehicle accidents. That is one area which, even being within the department for 36 years, the problem remains as grave as it was. In fact, so while going through the newspapers today morning, as recent as today morning, there was an accident somewhere near Bhiwandi, 8 persons killed. Now this day starts with such news and it affects one. There's one area which something could have been done. However, something will be done in future, I hope. So that was all about my career opportunities or whatever. Like,
So since we are talking about road safety, I would like to ask: do India need some serious policy changes or some serious reforms to put these things into place, so that we can minimize the risk of accidents and have a proper safety norms in place?
Yeah, hit a proper point. In fact, something which is again dear to me personally. Well, if you're referring to various laws, various rules, everything is in place. What we lack is basic civic culture, as I look at it. I mean, if I have to give an example, there is a law of wearing helmets. There is a law of not talking on cell phones while driving. There is a law on 2 persons riding on a two-wheeler. There is a law against breaking of one-way direction traffic. And despite of all this, you and I and everybody else do see a two-wheeler being ridden by 3 persons, all of 3 without helmets. Probably the 3rd person sitting looking at the back and somebody speaking on the mobile. Now, how much law is going to regulate these behaviors? And this two-wheeler being driven in the wrong direction, the last contributor to the accident. See, road safety is nothing no skyrocket science. These are basic issues. If you're at a traffic junction and if you wish to cross a road as a pedestrian, do you really get a chance to cross that? I would say no.
Yeah.
The two-wheelers, the 3-wheelers, even the motor cars, they're just there to break the signal, go ahead and cross the road. I mean, to what extent can the law come to your rescue? This civic sense has to be built in us. I look at this problem from this angle. You don't really require any more laws than they are there today. They are sufficient. Only point is observance. And voluntary observance, not regulatory kind of thing. Regulatory is okay, limited.
Rightly said, Mr. Satish. So to all watching this episode, please follow the rules. Please don't jump signals. Please, all the regulations, all the policies, everything is for your own safety. So please follow it. And okay, with that, let's move on to our next question. How and when did you first develop an interest in ESG and corporate governance?
Well, ESG and corporate governance, going by their terminology, is something new to me. But ESG and corporate governance was always being followed, even while being within the government. After all, ESG is nothing but ethical and proper ethical and proper organizational business practices. So, as stated earlier, government does not run. I would say that government certainly lays down rules and regulations within which the private sector has to work. And if there are any breaches in the working of private sector, the government will have to step in. Adherence to ESG principles and the policies is ultimately in the interest of all the stakeholders, including the private sector enterprises, because they are a part of society in any case. As far as my exposure to these issues is concerned, I would say that I got attracted to the E part of ESG when I saw the problem of automobile pollution, when I personally experienced this problem in Mumbai. This was around the year, I would say 1998 or 2000. Those were the days when one could not drive on a two-wheeler because your face would get black and your eyes will continuously be watery. And that was the time, 1998 was the time when this Lal committee, which I referred to earlier, came to be appointed by the High Court. Well, since then, a lot of regulatory and administrative changes have taken place by way of introduction of good design of engines of motor vehicles, automobiles, good designs of vehicles themselves, retrofitment of these devices by after treatment devices as far as pollution levels are concerned, taking action on the gross polluters by the regulating agencies. Now, as a combined effort of these and even such other measures by different government departments, we can literally feel the difference in the quality of air that we breathe today than what we were breathing about, let's say, 25, 30 years back. And I'm proud to say that I was instrumental in initiating some of these measures, which resulted in a proper, measurable, positive outlook. And the department was also instrumental in setting up certain guidelines, certain legal provisions for the business community to follow. And that is how I see that I developed my interest in the ESG related issues. Very frankly, the E and G part of ESG is ultimately for the benefit of S part. That is something that the government does. So that is something that the government does. And that's how I started developing interest in ESG and related issues. Yes.
All right. So before we conclude the corporate governance part, we would like to know, as an ESG and corporate governance expert, what values do you bring to the table?
What values do I bring to the table? It's a big issue, big question. What I can say is that as an ESG expert and even the governance expert, the regulating agencies like my department, the transport department, the police department, the environment department, the Maharashtra Pollution Control Board, as far as the pollution related issues are concerned, these have to ensure that the standards which have been set by the government, by the legal provisions, have to be met with the industries by force of regulation and voluntarily by the society at large. There's one important thing which comes to my mind, that there has to be a voluntary observance of these standards as far as the society at large is concerned. Society also has a responsibility to ensure that the standards are met by themselves. Government and society, after all, cannot work in different islands. They have to work together. I look at my new role as perhaps as independent director and ESG expert in achieving a correct balance between these two. That is, the standards being led by the government, the measures taken by the regulators, and the observance of the same by the society, including the private corporate organizations. And I think with the kind of exposure that I have had, I do not find any difficulty in achieving a balance between the two. Yes, that's all that I want to say on this.
Okay.
One is always expect the unexpected, and the other one is never be on the wrong side of the law. And I think both of these hold really good, even when I'm dealing, when everybody are dealing in these issues on day-to-day basis. Well, that was all that I wanted to say at the end.
Okay, right. So moving ahead, my next is on technology, since it has become an integral part of our lifestyles. So what are some of the most remarkable changes you have seen in your field with changes in technology? And what changes do you expect to see with the rise of this technological things like IoT, ML, blockchain, etc., etc.?
Okay, good point. I've always looked upon technology and even thought of technology as being one step ahead than any of the legal provisions. The technology, why should I say one step ahead? Technology is miles ahead of legal provisions. It changes literally on a day-to-day basis, and the legal provisions do not really keep pace with the changes in technology. Well, over the years, due to the efforts of regulatory agencies and even the voluntary initiatives by the private corporate houses and even by the society at large, a lot of technological changes have taken place in the, I'll limit myself to the automobile field because I have expertise in that limited field to say so. A lot of changes have taken place in the vehicle designs, the vehicle engines. Today's engines are much more less polluting than they were, well, 25, 30 years back. There have been a lot of changes in the after treatment of exhaust of vehicles, after treatment devices. The game changer has been the introduction of e-vehicles or the battery operated vehicles, which is the latest addition. And when I'm including the battery operated vehicles, I'm saying this with reference to the visible levels of pollution being minimal. I'm not referring to the other pollution that they may cause. There are certain issues even with them, but at least the visible emissions part of it is certainly nullified, almost nullified. No doubt the automobile industry, which is absolutely in the private hands, more than 95, 98% it is, I mean, I would say it's 100% in the private hands. The automobile industry was, and in fact, it is quite instrumental in effecting these positive changes in technology as far as the automobiles are concerned. So that was on the technological side of automobile industry. As far as the administrative side of my department, limited to my department, I can say that the department was willing to accept changes with reference to IT initiatives. And as of today, we have almost 84 various types of services like registration and license related services being done online. You did refer to artificial intelligence, AI, and other issues like LOT and etc. Well, being in the government, I do not think these issues were concerning with the government. These are absolutely technological issues. But I'm quite sure that the day is not very far as even the country is concerned that AI in the automobiles in terms of driverless cars will soon be introduced here. The concept is gaining ground well in the West, but it's a question of time it will be implemented here. That is all about technological and other issues.
Okay, right. So, Mr. Satish, we are building a community of industry magnates. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. So what are your thoughts about these initiatives taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the team of WDC?
Oh, you have taken the names. Good. I like it in the sense that I really appreciate the efforts put in by Mr. Zishan Pathan and Heval Mehta. Hevel, is that correct? Because I always confuse
Yes.
Hevel and Keval. Hevel Mehta, I'm correct. And the entire team of World Development Council. I have had good opportunities to interact with the teams. When I had some personal issues getting connected to the IICA site and MCA site and related issues. Well, I have had a good experience with them. I can certainly say that the synergy developed between the ID participants in the courses developed by WDC and the WDC team by itself will go really a long way in ensuring absolutely good cross-pollination between the two. I won't really say organization, two elements, I would put it that way. Well, I think we will always support and we will always get a support from WDC. I'm really happy.
Rightly said, Mr. Satish. So thank you so much for joining us today and wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute has unquestionably expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds.
Thank you so much.